the class.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are here to make super fun things out of UV resin. We're making teacher crafts today, back to school theme, and they're all super simple. This is a beginner level class, so we're going to take you through all of the steps that you need to know to get started with this craft today. And within the space of an hour, we're going to make several projects together. This is instant fast crafting. So my name is Stephanie Menor, and I'm here to teach it today. So let's switch to the top-down camera and take a look at the things that we're going to be making. So this is one of the molds that we are going to be using to create some pieces over here. And in fact, this little cavity over here is what makes these little earrings. So these earrings are clear and there's a bunch of fun stuff embedded in there. So we're going to show you all the different things that you can embed into resin and then show you how to cure it and then assemble it into jewelry with some beads and some findings. Next, we have this disc. This could be made into a lot of things. Right now it's blank on the back, but I'll show you how you can turn this into a badge, a hair clip, a pin, all sorts of different fun stuff. And then finally, we have a necklace. This also is made with the clear resin with some school supplies cured right in there with some faux suede cord and some wood beads. All right, so that's what we're making today. Let me move these off to the side and let's walk you through some of the supplies that you need. So I did show this earlier. This is one of the molds that we're going to be using. Let me show you what it looks like out of the package. Here we go. So this is a silicone mold. It is flexible and you'll see a lot of the things we use today are made of silicone. And that is because resin does not stick to silicone when it's dried. And in fact, under here, oh, that's a little piece of paper. Under here, this is a silicone mat. So this is protecting my work surface. So I always have that laid down here. And then the star of the show is a big bottle of UV resin. So this is a clear liquid that pours out ready to use. You're going to pour this directly into molds. And there's no mixing, there's no two parts that you're mixing together. It just comes out of the bottle ready to go. And it will stay in a liquid form until you cure it. So to cure it, you need a UV light. This is a UV light here. I'm going to hit the button. So you can see that turns off and on. And we'll talk about curing times, how long that takes. But this plugs into a USB input. And then we have all sorts of fun things in here. We have stuff to embed into the resin. We have stuff to make these pieces into jewelry. So we're going to get into all of these pieces here in a minute. Some other tools, we have a wood stick. You're going to need that for stirring and for placement of things. And then we have some basic jewelry tools, some pliers. We have round nose, flat nose plier, some clippers. These are kind of the three basics that you need to do most jewelry projects, not all, and a couple other assorted things that we're going to show you along the way. So we are going to get started with that earring, and that uses this mold. We're going to use these two pieces here, but you can see you can create these in a lot of different shapes. So the first thing when you're working with a mold, and I don't always cover this in my classes, so I want to make sure I cover it today, that is you want to start with a clean mold. So soap and water, but sometimes little pieces of glitter, can see some little glitter here. Maybe it's hard to see on camera. Get stuck in there. Scotch tape is what I found the best way to clean those things out of a mold before you use it. That just picks up those little stray pieces of glitter so easily. So I'm going to make sure that these two areas where we're going to be pouring resin are nice and clean. All right, that looks better. Let's see. All right, now we are going to go straight in with some resin. So this is coming straight out of the bottle. And I'm going to pour a small amount in each one, filling it less than half the way. maybe a little bit more on that side. And you'll notice that bubbles aren't really an issue. Bubbles become a big issue when you're dealing with other kinds of resin, but you can see it comes out very clear. I can kind of move this around to get it into the corners. So this is just my first layer to put down before I start laying things in there. All right, so that's kind of move that around so that's touching all the walls. So the first thing I'm going to put in there, actually the first thing is here, are some office supplies. So we have some pins. I'm going to use red and green. Now they're a little bit long, so I'm going to cut those. And of course you can choose office supplies, any mini office supplies that you can think of. The list of what you can use inside the resin is virtually endless. Anything from plastic, paper, glass, wood, shell, sand, I a million other materials can be put inside the resin. The only thing we don't recommend is fresh flowers because they will get kind of funky. You want to have dried flowers, all that moisture taken out if you are going to use flowers. All right, so this is a work for some tweezers. So I'm going to place these in there. And I just realized that I need two of each one. I think I want to put this one like this. So let me cut some more. I need another red and another green. It really helps when you're making earrings to make them both at the same time. It helps them become more symmetrical rather than making one, taking it all the way through the process, and then making the other. These two. And I'm holding on to that tail as I cut it so it doesn't fly across the room. And when we are working with earrings, or sorry, when I'm working with silicone molds, we want to keep in mind that what we see here, this view that we see from the top down, is not actually the front. This is the back of the earring. The front of this earring is underneath. So we want to make sure that it's pretty from underneath. So I've laid those in there with tweezers. I'm going to take my wood stick and just kind of put those exactly where I want them to be, at the exact angle where I want them to be. And of course, I'm trying them to make these symmetrical. I have off to the side either a baby wipe or a piece of paper towel just to wipe this off in between so I don't get resin all over the place. All right, next we are going to use some of these, which are polymer clay slices. And I'm going to bring out another little tray here. And pour some of these out because I want to find just the apples. This is all kinds of different fruit slices. But let's see. I want to find the apples. Okay, let's put 4 apple slices. So this is one of the materials I didn't mention when I was rattling off things that you can put in resin. Baked polymer clay, which are what these slices are made of. Work very, very well. Oh, one more. Let's pour out some more. This is like a game of I Spy. Like, I spy the apple slice. Nope, that's strawberry. But you can see all the fun little fruits. I'm going to show you some pieces of jewelry that we made with these different fruits. Oh, come on now. All right, well, We are going to just switch on the fly here and just include one apple slice. And so you can pick them up with tweezers. I'll show you another way that might be easier for you. Using your wood stick, if you get a little bit of the resin on your wood stick, you can kind of pick it up and place it a little easier that way. I'll put that right in the middle. And you'll notice like this material, the UV resin, will stay in its liquid form until you're ready to cure it. So I can keep playing with this. I can make a run to Michael's and pick up more polymer clay slices to get more apple slices if I want to. And it will stay liquid for days, weeks, forever, as long as it is not exposed to UV light. Now, the UV light that we know and love comes from the sun. So this will cure in the sun. So you do want to be careful about working near an open sunny window because it may start to cure before you want it to. And now we are adding some tiny little metal charms. Everything that I'm using today is available at Michael's. Most of what I'm using is available in the jewelry making department. Some of these things are available elsewhere. So one of the projects, the next projects we're going to do uses some stickers. So that would be, of course, in the paper crafting aisle. And let's see, but most of these things, including all of these little metal charms, are available in the jewelry making aisle. All right, and I have some tiny little pearls here. These are pearls with no hole, so they're not beads, they're just, I guess you can call them just pearls. They are made of plastic. Plastic is a great material to work within your UV resin creations. And trying to keep these mirror images of one another. Slightly, not perfectly. And I can take my time and just place these exactly where I want them to go. Do we like that? How about two more? One on this side. Okay, so now is my time to get a last look at it. So I'm going to look at it here with my eyes, but I also want to pick it up and look underneath because that underneath is actually the front. And so I see it looks good. I could take my bottle of UV resin and just fill that up to the top, but I don't want to do that because if I do that, it is going to disperse everything that I just put so carefully in place. So what I can do is I can cure it in stages. So I'm going to bring my lamp over, hit the on button, and put that underneath. And so we are going to do kind of this pre-cure where I'm setting what I just did in place so it can't move. And then we'll fill the rest of it with clear, and then we'll cure that as a second step. So let's talk a little bit about curing times while I clean up these tiny pearls that I spilled. So curing times, this first project is a wonderful kind of type to start with because it requires the least curing time because it's just clear. It's just clear resin. Clear resin means that those rays of the UV light can get through all of it. It can reach all the parts of it. If I would have put glitter in there or tints in there, it sort of blocks the light, so it just takes longer to cure. So, but this is a great first project because it's simply putting things within clear resin. I would probably only cure this first layer for 1 minute. That light turned off. It has an automatic shut off after 1 minute. So this is 1 minute that it's been in there. You will see that it is no longer liquid. I can turn this over without any fear, but it's still not filled to the top. We want to fill those mold sections to the top. So let's just pour some more on top of that. And now what's underneath is locked in place. And I will just fill these molds up to the top. And then what I like to do sometimes is grab my wood stick and then just kind of go around the edges. I just want to make sure that the resin has reached the edges, that it's sometimes might be a little slow to get there. I just want to make sure it has reached all the edges, that my mold is completely full, and it is. And now we're ready for our final cure. So you'll notice these molds are perfectly shaped to fit under the lamp. The molds, the lamp, the resin, everything's available at Michael's. There are a lot of silicone molds out there though, and so you may find yourself wanting to use other silicone molds that aren't for UV resin. I'm trying to find an example of what I had hiding around here. You always want a clear mold. Never use an opaque mold. There's opaque silicone molds. You'll find those like in the candy making aisle. Don't use those. It will just be funky for you. It won't cure correctly because the light can't just pass through. So always make sure that when you're doing UV resin, you need a clear mold. And while that's going, I'm just going to move this off to the side. I'll show you a few other pieces that we've made with clear. And these are some rings. So in this ring, we used those same fruits in a ring mold and added a little bit of gold glitter in there just to sparkle it up. In this ring, we cured just a clear ring and then added some rhinestones to the outside of it with more UV resin. Super cute. So speaking of molds, these aren't clear, but I'll show you, these are some other rings that we've made. This has kind of like a swirly pinky white. And this is another ring where I'm going to put this went for 1 minute and turned off. I'm just going to put it on 1 more minute. We molded this butterfly separately and then stuck it on that ring. Here's that same butterfly mold, slightly different. We turned that into a stud earring. Okay, show you some other stud earrings over here. This one has some green tint with some little flakies. This one we poured some seed beads into the mold with clear resin. And then you add your earring back with clear resin. You use the same thing as a glue. This one has a little dried flower in it. Super sweet, super easy to do. You can pop out dozens of little stud earrings like that in an hour. Great if you're making them for craft show, making them for gifts, because they come up really easily. All right, so back to this. So that went for 2 minutes. And you'll notice after it cures, you'll notice it's got some heat to it. That is one of the side effects of the curing process. It will release some heat. And it's not that the lamp is hot. The lamp doesn't get hot, but it's the resin itself that will be a little bit warm. So you want to give it just a minute to cool down. And the main reason for that is when you pop it out of the mold, you don't want to bend it. When it's warm, it has a little bit of bendiness to it. And then it cools down and it hardens to like a hard glass. All right. So let's see. Now these pop out very easily. I can just kind of pop up with my hand. And this is what we have. All right. And so they already have a hole at the top, but that's because my mold has this little silicone peg. So I don't have to drill a hole to turn that into an earring. It already has a hole for attachment. So I'm going to give you a closer look at what we have. And you can see along the edges, there are some little extra resin came there. That's natural. I'll just show you how to get rid of that. Very kind of hard to see because it's clear. I hope you can see. There's just like little bits of extra. So you can take a clipper and just kind of clip that away. And it like wants to separate at the right spot. So that is nice and smooth now. At the back of my silicone peg, maybe there's a little bit of extra resin, but that is good to go. If you have some extra little dangly bits from extra resin, you can also bring in an emery board, kind of just scrape along the edges a little bit. Because, you know, if you're selling these, if you're making them for someone, you want them to have nice smooth edges. And this does. All right, let's see. This one's looking pretty good. I feel a little bit of something there. All right, looks good. Now let's make these into earrings. So we are going to need some findings and some beads for that. So just there was a question in the chat about curing. Thank you for your question. My favorite way to cure is in the sun. If it is a bright sunny day, you can put this outside and within 5-10 minutes max, your pieces are going to be fully cured. If you find that you've cured them with a light indoors and they are still a little bit sticky, that also it can happen. And what we always tell people is put it on a sunny windowsill, forget about it for a day, or 30 minutes, or depending on where your window is and how sunny it is, and it will cure. If you're still having problems beyond that with stickiness, you may want to take your bottle and stir it up because some ingredients may have separated. So you might need to stir that a little bit. We don't suggest shaking it because we don't want to incorporate bubbles, but stirring it up can help. All right, so we have some findings. You are going to need some just basic findings, which is an ear hook or whatever type of hook you like. A jump ring. This is a 6mm jump ring. This is an eye pin. This is a 2-inch long eye pin. We're going to cut some of that off. And some seed beads. So let me show you how to do that. So first we're going to work with the eye pen. And so here's where you're going to need some of your tools. So you're going to need your round nose plier and definitely your cutters. Okay. All right. So on your eye pin, you want to string whatever beads you want. So I'm going to match what I've done here and string a green and a red. If that is too Christmassy for you, you could maybe do a green and a white. Something like that. So those are strung on, and now we need to bend this wire. So because this is so tiny for me to grab onto, I'm going to grab this with my round nose pliers right at the top of the bead and push the wire that way. So I'm creating a 90-degree bend. Actually, mine is a little more than 90 degrees. Okay. And now we have to cut off all this excess. So this length is way too much. We only need about 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so I'm going to cut that right there. And so this is what we have. So we need to turn this little arm into a coil that matches that. It's a loop. So you need round nose pliers for this. They're special pliers where the tips are cones. And you grab this at the very tip, grab that tail, the very tip of it. Here we go. I like to put them about in the middle and then grab and pull back and twist, 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 twist. When you can't twist, let go and grab it again. Twist, 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 twist. And there you go. Now you have a loop at the top and at the bottom. If it looks a little bit crooked, you can get in there with your flat pliers and just kind of straighten it out. Okay. And that is what you have. So the order of this is going to be connecting this to this, this to this, this to this, and this. So you have a few connections to make. So you want to use a flat plier for that. And this is about a 6 mm jump ring. We'll see if this is big enough. So you just open it up by kind of twisting it like I did and feeding that through. Yep, that'll work. Before I close it, we'll put on this little connector we just made. And then here you're probably going to need 2 pliers to close that jump ring in the opposite way you opened it. So now we have 2 things connected. And now we want to connect our ear wire. And this already has a loop at the bottom. I'm just going to open that loop a little bit for me to be able to slide this on and close the loop. And there we have a finished earring. I won't do our second one, but you can see how quick and easy that is and endlessly customizable. I could put virtually any material inside that resin and it would look cute with some matching beads. Okay, how we doing? That is our first project. We're going to be moving on to another clear project. The third project we do, we'll add some color. So for this disc, this is the mold. So this mold is sold as a shaker mold. So if you use the front of it, this is actually the front of it, it creates a shape that looks like this. It's like a little tray. And that little tray makes, you can fill it with things that shake around, and it comes with some acetate tops. But this is a piece that we made in one of our recent classes back in May for graduation. But it makes a shaker charm. Now, so that's just one thing that comes out of this mold. The other thing that comes out of this mold is if you flip it over, you get just a flat disc. And so this is also from our graduation class. This was a flat disc, but you can see it's right in there. So that's the mold that was used. This is very similar to the piece that we're gonna make next, but it's using a sticker and we turned it into a pin. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, but for this piece, let's make sure that our mold is nice and clean. So I'm gonna do my little Scotch tape trick here and just make sure that there's no errant pieces of glitter. All right, and similar to what we just did, we are going to put some resin down. Just enough to put a light coating that will reach all of the edges. Now you can see I did get a little bit of a bubble. When that happens, oh, that one popped on its own. You can just pop it. And then I am going to move this around so that that resin flows to all of the edges. And then I can start my designing. So for this, we're using some safety pins. These are coated safety pins. No, not safety pins. These are paper clips. So you can use coated paper clips, or you can use the silver ones. Let's use the coated ones. So I'm going to drop those in. And now we get to fill it with cute stuff. So let's see what we want to put in there. Let's put some more of our gold stars in. And if you're making this for a teacher, this little disc can be turned into a lot of things. A hair clip, barrette, a ring, a badge, a lanyard, lots and lots of things. But the first step is making the design. which we're doing now. Okay, that's cute. I think I'm going to go a little bit off script here. And I love this pastel color story that is happening. Ooh, some of this my stuff. So let's go with that pastel. And let's see what goodies I have in here that are pastel. Well, I have some flakes. These look very neon, but in person they are not actually that neon. Oh, I have these. These are pretty. These are also sold at Michael's. These are like confetti. It's glitter, but it's kind of like confetti. And they are in the shape of stars. So let's use some of those. And I am going to take each one by one and try to place it where I want it to go. Once they get in the resin, they get very transparent. So I hope you can see. This will just add a little bit of extra sparkle all around here. Oops. All right, and then these are like those four-pointed stars. So you can move each one so that it's, north, south, east, west, or you can just go with kind of more of a organic approach. All right, that's cute. What else do we have here? Let's try some of these. These are those pink flakes that I showed you. And keep in mind what we're doing back here is the back of it. So it's okay if I were to put this here because it would be behind that paper clip. I love all of these little iridescent bits when used in UV resin. Just trying to spread these out somewhat evenly. And let's see, what else? We have some other just round confetti. We can put a little bit of that in. This is where your creativity comes in. This is your time to shine. Whatever colors you like, you can focus on those. And just using the supplies that you already have around the house. These ones don't want to come off, so I find myself having to scrape them along the sides. There we go. Sometimes I think it would help to have two sticks. The way you can kind of coax them to go where you want. I want to add this darker pink color. Ooh, come on, you. Let go. Get off of there. This is when you know you're watching a real-time craft in the works. struggles with glitter. Okay, gonna have to do that way. And despite what I just went through, I want one more of that dark pink. Okay, it looks like a party. That's looking cute. Let me put my lids back on before I elbow some of this glitter all over my floor. Okay, so I like it. That's what I'm going with. I want to lock that down. So I want to cure it. This is a pre-cure that I'm doing just for 1 minute. And that will make sure all of that hard work does not go away. And while that's happening, let's show you some other cute stuff. So we can also add tint to the resin. And in this piece, this little butterfly charm, this has dried flowers. And behind the dried flowers is tinted white so that it can really make those flowers pop. These are some earrings we did a couple weeks ago where we used white and black tinted resin to make these kind of swirly, marbly earrings. Here is a hoop earring that we made. This, all of these pieces come from molds. This is from a hoop mold. And we did kind of an ombre blue, light blue, dark blue to purple glitter. That's kind of fun. Okay, so this went for a minute. This is now hardened, and we can put something on the back. But because I've just started talking about tints, I want to show you how to use a tint. So I'm going to do a tinted color there in the back just for funsies, just to show you how to do it. So for that, you need a mixing cup. This is a silicone mixing cup. We're going to put some resin directly in there. And I want to put enough so I can fill the rest of this mold up. And tints look something like this. UV Resin Craft brand, also in the jewelry making aisle. And you want to give them a nice shake. This is our pink tint. I'm going to put 3 drops in there. You want to start out with less and then add more. Some of those tints are extremely concentrated. So that gives us a beautiful pink color. And I don't think I added enough resin to fill that. It's a big mold, so I'm just going to add a little bit more just to make sure I have it covered. Mix that up. All right, and then we're just going to pour it on to the back of our creation. And then just spreading that to the edges. And wipe off my stick here. You do have a few bubbles. Sometimes you get more bubbles when you use a tint, just because if you're like me, you're whipping that tint in there like crazy. That can whip a little bit of air in as well. So if you have some bubbles, you can just pop them, or if you can't pop them, you can scoop them out. All right. And let's bring our light in. So I'm going to let that cure for 2 to 3 minutes because I did add tint to it. And in that time, let's do a little more show and tell. So here is a very cool earring that we made using a little bit of blue tint and a white earring topper. So we connect those with jump rings. Now those white clouds in there, you'll never guess what that is. I've seen a lot of different things. You can use tiny little bits of toilet paper and clear resin, but this is actually soap, white soap that we've microwaved for about 10 seconds, and it makes kind of these fluffy clouds. I love a craft that uses household supplies, so I love to pass those on to you as we have them. Let's see what other show and tell I can do for you. Here's an earring that we made a while back, and this has candy sprinkles in it. This is a hoop earring. So that went for a minute. I'm just going to let that go another couple minutes. We have a few other hoop earrings here. This one has some specialty chunky glitter, and this one has some flowers, little tiny confetti flowers. Fall is coming, and so we made this bracelet. And this bracelet is something new that you may not be familiar with in the world of UV resin. And this is made with soft resin. So all of the resin that we are working with, you'll see it says hard type resin. That is 95% of the projects that you see out there with UV resin is hard type resin. But there is another type, and it's soft type. And soft type cures to a consistency that's like this, like a gummy bear. And we like using this on things that need to have a bend to them, like this bracelet. So if it were made of hard type resin, each of these segments would be kind of stiff, but this just falls nicely over your wrist and curves. So I wanted just to point that out in case you ever encounter soft resin. Right, that went for 2 minutes. I'm going to put it for 1 more minute just to make sure that it is all cured while I show you one of my favorite earrings. These are also dried flowers, but you can see they're like flower confetti. Oh, let's put it there you can really see it. It's like flower confetti. They are dried like Queen Anne's lace flowers. And we use all different multicolored ones in this mold to create these earrings. Love these. All right, so that's still going. I'm going to clean up my little bit of glitter here with a piece of tape. Make quick work of it. And I'm also going to let this cool. I can feel that it is warm. So I'm going to let that cool. And we are going to come back to this piece. Let me show you a couple other fun earrings. This one also has seed beads. So great way to achieve a seed beaded look without all of the frustration and time it takes to weave individual seed beads. These earrings are really fun. Some gear shapes that we did from out of molds. Just sort of layered them together. This is from a steampunk class that we did. So part of this craft is making the thing out of resin, and part of it is layering these things together to turn them into jewelry. So in this case, we went a little bit outside of the mold, pun intended, and layered some gears together, added a piece of dangling chain. So that's when your individual creativity really comes into play. All right, let's see what we have here. This is still warm. We can get a little preview of what it looks like on the back there. And this is what we have. So I can see, you can kind of see right there on the edge, there's a little bit of extra resin that went over the lip of the mold. So I'm just going to snip that off. I feel a little burr right there too. So I can snip that off. And now this piece, this mold, does not have that little silicone little tip in there. So this does not have a hole in the top of it, which makes it ideal if you wanted to turn it into a hair clip, for example. This doesn't work great because you can see this through, it's too translucent, but you could turn that into a hair clip by using a little alligator clip and using some UV resin to stick that on. We can turn this into a brooch by using a pin back like this and putting that on there with more UV resin. We can turn that into another type of pin. All of these different findings are available at Michael's. And if you're really wild, you can turn it into a ring. Is that crazy? Yes, it is. All right. But we are going to be making a necklace. So I need a hole at the top to thread my cord through. And that's where this comes in handy. This is a tiny little hand drill. Now, if you have a Dremel drill or an electric drill of any kind, feel free to use that. But this actually works very quickly. And this has a 3mm nib on the top of it, so it's going to make quite a large hole. So I just find where I want that to be. Like, do I want my safety pins to go that way? I kind of like them when they're about there. So I'm going to place this hole right here at the top. And I just start twisting. And soon enough, it'll get right through there. Almost through. There it goes, pop through. Let's just reverse it. Close it off. Now I have a hole at the top of there. Now to turn this into a necklace, we need some cord. So this is faux suede cord. So I'm just going to stick that right through. And I want to leave about this. This is not gonna. It's not gonna have a clasp. It's just gonna be a hand tied knot. So I want to make sure that this is long enough to still fit over my head. So I have this at about probably 30 inches of cord. And then I'm going to put some beads on the top of there. How about, let's see. These are some wood beads. And let's do these colors. So the wood beads, you want to put them over both ends of the cord. And this might get a little tricky because they are wood beads. That inner core is not perfect. Usually it's easy to get one side through and then harder to get that. There we go. And kind of situate that. Now one bead looks cute, but let's go with two. And pink. And maybe not because that, well, maybe we could try this side. Wood beads, have to be hand drilled out the centers, and so they're not always perfectly symmetrical. Let's see if we can get it. Woo, that's hard. Maybe our purple one will be a little easier. Now I could take that same drill and drill out these cores, but I don't want to take the time to do that right now. So let's go with one bead. Got one bead on there successfully. That looks cute. And now here at the end, we're just going to do a simple knot. Like this. And moving the knot all the way to the end. Pulling that tight, then I can trim off excess. And here we have a little back to school teacher necklace. So here I showed you this colorway with the pink. Here's the original colorway. They stacked up 3 beads, which does look super cute. But I just wanted to show you design options. In the end, the design is up to you, and that to me is the most fun part about using UV resin. All right, so we are running short on time, so I'm going to go through this last project really quickly. It's very similar to what we did, except this one uses a sticker. So here is our same mold, and we want to create a dark color. So I'm going to bring in another silicone mold. Silicone bowl. Pour some in there. And now I have some black glitter here. So I'm going to just pour that directly in. And try not to get it everywhere. And give that a stir. All right, let's set this off to the side for a moment while we prep our mold. So the first thing that's going to go in the mold is clear. Just a thin layer. And encouraging that to go to all of the edges. And then we need some stickers. So these are the stickers that we're using today from Recollections. Any sticker is going to work. Plastic stickers, those clear stickers, paper stickers. And we are going to use this one here that says, I heart my teacher. So I'm going to take that sticker off and I'm going to place it down into the resin upside down. Because remember, this underneath here is the front of it. Just making sure I have a nice layer there. And place this in. Now it's at this point you really want to make sure that you have not trapped any air bubbles underneath that sticker. That is a very common thing that happens when you're laying large pieces of stuff into your resin, whether that's a large dried flower or a sticker like this. You can very easily trap air underneath it. So I'm going to pick this up and give it a real good look just to make sure that I don't have a giant air bubble. It doesn't look like I do. So I'm just pressing this down all the way. We do want to get it down to the bottom of the mold. And just kind of covering it. And I'm going to give this a little bit of a pre-cure because I'm going to put that dark color, the glitter that I just mixed up, on the back. So making sure that the thing that I mixed up is off to the side. Let's cure this. All right, we are going to be wrapping up here in just a few minutes. If you have any questions, make sure you ask them now or forever hold your peace. Thank you for joining us today. We do these classes. We do UV resin classes once a month for Michaels. We do polymer clay jewelry making classes twice a month. So please join us. We do fun projects, something different every time. But I do want to finish this piece here. So there you go, Felicia. You got me. All right, so that one let's say that's just about pre-cured. We're going to bring what I mixed up here and fill the rest of that mold up. It does help to have a contrasting color. So that sticker was white, so we're using a dark color here in the back. That's just going to make that sticker pop a little bit more. And you'll notice that the mixture that I mixed up is not completely opaque glitter. It still has a little transparency to it. And I do that just to make sure that it will cure nicely. So those UV rays can hit all the edges. A little bit more. I can see it's not 100% filled. Okay, so we're going to cure that in place. And through the magic of video, we're going to end up with something like this. Now this piece has a few extra little bits that were placed in there, but this is very similar to what you will get when this is done curing. So I want to show you how to turn it into a pin. So we're going to use this. We are going to use this pin back and put that on the back. And I want to line it up. I can kind of see through here. It's transparent to my view. I want to place that right there. And that I'm going to do with UV resin. It's a wonderful adhesive to stick two things together. And I'm just giving it another look on the back just to make sure that I have that lined up. And now these two things can go together. And that is how you add a piece of metal, whether it's a pin back, a clutch pin, a hair barrette, any sort of thing that you're using to transform your resin piece into something wearable. That is how easy it is to add it. And I can tell as I touch this that it's already grabbed, that it's no longer liquid. But let's let it do its thing. Take this out and show you what we have. So we have a custom-made teacher pin that has the pin back already on the back. And that's how you do it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Here's what mine will look like. I'm going to let it cure just a little bit longer. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you come back next time for more UV resin fun or polymer clay jewelry making. Take a look at michaels.com to see the latest class listings. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.